Welcome to today's Explainer. We're jumping right into a story that, honestly, might sound a little too familiar. Meet Michael. He's a 27-year-old guy from Texas, working hard at a local grocery store every single day. But despite the daily grind, he was totally stuck in that exhausting cycle of living paycheck to paycheck. Today, we're going to break down how just a few incredibly intentional choices completely rewrote his financial future.
Okay, let's dive into this by looking at his starting point. Every month, Michael was bringing home about $2,800. Now, that's a solid, honest living. But he was caught in what's known as Parkinson's law of money. Basically, no matter how much he made, his expenses just magically rose to eat it all up. Month after month, his entire paycheck would just vanish before he even reached the end of the month, keeping him trapped on this wildly stressful treadmill with absolutely zero breathing room.
And, well, having no breathing room eventually leads to a pretty terrifying wake-up call. Michael checked his bank app one day, probably just hoping he had enough to cover his meals for the week, and he realized he had exactly $143 left. Just let that sink in for a second. $143 to his name. If his car broke down, or if he missed even a few days of work, there was no backup plan. None. He was walking a financial tightrope without a net, and in that split second, the sheer panic of his situation just hit him like a ton of bricks. But you know what? That panic turned out to be the ultimate spark. That very night, sitting alone with that brutal reality check, Michael made a choice. He grabbed a scrap of paper and scribbled down a goal that honestly felt completely ridiculous at the time. I will save my first $10,000. Now, when you've only got $140 in your pocket, 10 grand might as well be 10 million, right? It literally seems mathematically impossible. But getting it out of his head and physically writing it down in ink, it shifted something in his brain. It went from a daydream to a hard, concrete destination.
Now, here is the really fascinating part about how he actually pulled this off. He didn't invent some crazy app or win the lotto. He just looked at his daily habits. Step 1, he cut out that overpriced morning coffee run. Step 2, he did the absolutely agonizing detective work of finding and canceling all those sneaky, unused monthly subscriptions we all have. And step 3, he stopped ordering takeout and started cooking his meals at home. The beauty here is that these are super actionable everyday changes. Saving $5 here or $10 there, it doesn't feel like a big deal on a random Tuesday. But collectively, these little moves finally plugged the holes in a sinking ship and stopped his money from just evaporating.
But just plugging the holes wasn't going to get him to 10 grand fast enough, so he needed to boost his income. And this brilliantly illustrates the concept of opportunity cost. See, while his friends were out kicking back, spending money at weekend barbecues, and just enjoying their time off, Michael was grinding. He picked up a side hustle delivering food. I mean, think about the willpower it takes to sit in your car, smelling someone else's amazing dinner that you can't even eat, while everyone you know is watching the game. He was literally trading his weekend comfort for long-term security. His strategy for this new money was honestly ruthless. He used the pay-yourself-first rule. So every single time he made a few bucks from a delivery or saved a 20 by skipping a restaurant, he didn't leave it sitting in his checking account where he'd just accidentally spend it. Nope, he routed it straight into a totally separate savings account. And as the months rolled by, you could see the momentum building. He hit that magical first milestone of $1,000. Then, a few months later, $3,000. As he approached the 2-year mark, he hit $5 grand. He was halfway there. And for the very first time in his adult life, Michael wasn't lying awake stressing about money. He actually felt secure. Now, let's just slow down for a second because I want to be super clear about something. Building your safety net is almost never a straight, easy line. The universe loves to test your resolve, doesn't it? Out of nowhere, his car needed repairs, which honestly is painfully ironic since he literally needed that car for his delivery hustle. Then random unexpected bills started showing up. There were days where huge chunks of his progress were just wiped out. The temptation to throw his hands up and say, forget it, was incredibly strong. And who could blame him? But instead of using those roadblocks as an excuse to quit, he thought back to that scrap of paper. He remembered the feeling of only having $143. So he put his head down and just pushed harder. Because ultimately, time is the absolute ultimate test of consistency. Delivery by delivery, skipped coffee by skipped coffee, the calendar just kept turning. It had been a long, deeply exhausting journey of late nights, incredibly tight budgets. And then, exactly 2 years after that fateful night where he scribbled a totally impossible goal on a piece of paper, Michael woke up, grabbed his phone, and opened his banking app. And there it was, $10,023.47. He just stared at the screen in absolute disbelief.
The mountain he thought he could never climb had actually been conquered. The realization hit him so hard that he literally had tears in his eyes. He had done it. So the crucial point is, he had finally taken control of his life, one single dollar at a time, and shattered the cycle that kept him trapped for years. But here's what's vital to understand about that exact moment. Staring at his phone, it wasn't really about the 10 grand. I mean, sure, the money was fantastic, but the cash was really just a byproduct. What actually brought him to tears was the undeniable proof that he had discipline, he had patience, he had consistency. Those 3 traits, they are the absolute true currency of success. He proved to himself that by leaning into those habits, he could completely rewrite his reality. The bank account changed, for sure, but the internal shift of who Michael had become, that was the real victory. And that led to an even bigger realization. That first $10,000, it wasn't the finish line. It wasn't some excuse to pat himself on the back and go right back to his old spending habits. No, it was the starting line. That one simple, terrifying decision to save instead of spend totally unlocked a brand new trajectory for his life. It was step 1 on his lifelong journey to actual, lasting financial freedom. Which brings us right back to you and the ultimate takeaway of this explainer. It's all about the unbelievable power of the compound effect. Making coffee at home, working a few extra hours on a Saturday, stubbornly moving $20 into a savings account, those choices feel completely insignificant in the moment, like they feel way too small to actually matter. But give them time, fuel them with consistency, and they stack up into truly extraordinary results. You are literally building your future self with the tiny, seemingly boring decisions you make today. So as we wrap things up today, I really want to leave you with a challenge. Take a hard look at your own routines, your own habits, and your own goals. Think about Michael sitting there with that scrap of paper. You absolutely do not need to change everything overnight, but you do need to start. So I've got to ask, what small daily choice are you going to change today? Start right now, stay consistent, and I promise you your future self will absolutely thank you.